Gena, you bring a perspective of someone who has worked in the field in education and then become part of the policy making. So let's have your experience in terms of being on the receiving end of educators who really want to have some influence in policy when you were at DOE.
Yeah, thank you. It was a really interesting position to be in when I moved into the role of Assistant Superintendent for Learning at the Department of Education. And interesting in that an opportunity for me to recognize as a practitioner in the field for 35, 36, 37 years, how the processes really were alive and well, and the protocols for policy decisions became so real to me. And as I'll use my experience as not only a teacher but a superintendent, where even in that space as a practitioner, the superintendents as a collective have a very nicely formed organization that looks at policies and works to advocate for things that ultimately impact the lives of children and families in their communities. While I was at the Department of Ed and taking those experiences to the Department of Ed, I recognized, and I say this respectfully, that I started to understand why things took so long, and that things couldn't, not that I expected as a practitioner in the field that things at a snap of the finger would change, but I understood intricately how important it was to speak in a way, whether it was before the Board of Education or to the agency, bringing information and requests and advocacy statements to the agency, really required all of us to not only know the processes at the state level, but to know the processes and the timelines as a practitioner. But always, and not to oversimplify it, but always how important it was to understand the implications of a particular issue. And I learned so much at the Department of Ed, but really what resonated was, and I used this as my outreach to superintendents and teachers, what resonated for me was to help them understand how important it was for them to be knowledgeable about the implications of a particular policy on their life, the community, the lives of those in their communities, and then how to speak in a way that didn't distract from what they wanted to have happen. And that was the case whether I sat in a Board of Education meeting, or if I was even the one person that many reached out to because they knew me. And I had deep connections with, and continue to, with educators across Virginia. So in a nutshell, again, understanding deeply the processes, and I learned so much being there, but also how important it was to understand the issues in a way of the implications for your community, because therein would give great opportunity for people to listen to you when it wasn't tethered with a great deal of emotion, but was actually grounded with a great deal of understanding of implications.